So I haphazardly started wrestling in the 7th grade. I was out for the basketball team, and this was at Reedsport Middle School. And as I was playing basketball, I was sitting on the bench watching everybody else play, and as we finished the game, we played a fifth quarter for everybody who didn't get to play, and so I was able to play in the 5th quarter. And as I was coming off the court, going down to the locker room, the wrestling coach, Bill Karcher from Reedsport, was there. And I asked Mr. Karcher, who was my 7th grade science teacher also, I said, "Hey, Coach, if I come out for wrestling, do I have to sit on the bench?" And he said no. So I appropriately turned in my basketball uniform, and the next day I was at the wrestling practice. That was when I was in the 6th grade, 7th grade. And so I've been around it ever since then. That was in Reedsport, Oregon. And growing up through Reedsport, Oregon, while I was in middle school and high school, we won 3 state championships. So it was kind of in my blood just to be involved with wrestling as much as I possibly could. Coach Ron Finley was my high school wrestling coach my junior and senior year. And as he left Reedsport to come to the University of Oregon, so did I. And as I left Reedsport, I came to the University of Oregon to play football. And I knew that the best thing for me as a football player was to keep tackling for the next 4 months. And so that's what I did in my off season as a football player, was wrestle. And not only did it make me physically fit, it made me emotionally fit and capable of continuing to do what I do even today, as far as just the willpower to try to do more in what you do, and makes you better as a person. So I learned that at a young age. And again, growing up in Reedsport, we had a pretty strong tradition in the wrestling program. And my cousin, who was 3 years older than I was, he was a 2-time state champion. I grew up with people. The irony of the whole thing, I never ever did go to state. And I didn't claim to be a very good wrestling teacher or wrestler at the time. Coach Finley would call me out there because I was one of the biggest kids on the team at 190 pounds. And at that time I was also 6'2". So he would really get a lot of fun out of showing all the throws, because all these arms and legs that were flying around, he would really get a kick out of that. So it was one of those things that my high school experience as a wrestler was something not only just for wrestling, but it was the camaraderie. All of my friends that played football, we all went out for wrestling, and it was another opportunity for us to spend another 4 months together. So it was one of those things that we were able to continue doing over and over and over again. As I went to the University of Oregon, so did Ron Finley. He also wanted me to come out for wrestling. But at that level, I could see that only one sport was going to be something that I was going to be able to concentrate on. And so I played football rather than wrestle. And when I graduated from the University of Oregon in 1973, never really thought much about wrestling, other than going and watching my friends that were on the Oregon team wrestle. And Coach Finley was coaching there at that time. Several of my buddies that I grew up with through the state was there wrestling, and so on. So I was able to continue to see the sport continue to grow. And you know, not only Coach Finley building that program, but also fighting every time anything ever happened where they were going to cut programs, they were going to cut funds, they were going to do something to try to put another program in or something. I always saw Coach Finley continue to work at trying to survive as a wrestling coach and a wrestling program. So I learned that, and it wasn't necessarily something that pushed me to continue wrestling. When I came here in Cottage Grove in 1977, I was the 3rd wrestling coach ever at Cottage Grove High School. And Cottage Grove Wrestling started in 1975. So there was one coach that started it here at Cottage Grove. His name was Dick Perry. And then another coach came in the year later. His name was Frank Adami from Alaska, and he was here for 1 year. And then I was able to take the program over in 1977. And at that time, I think that we had 15, 20 wrestlers. And basically, I was also a football coach. So, you played football, you went out for wrestling, and it just went hand in hand with each other. So it was one of those things that I saw was something that was going to be beneficial for those young kids that we're continuing to try to get better and better in what they do. So it's one of those things that as everything continues to grow, our community is wrapped around it also. You know, we still don't get the full support that everybody wants, but I don't think that happens in any community. And you know, we just continue to do the best we can and get better and better and better. When you look at the sport of wrestling here in Lane County, I think that we could obviously do a lot more for our sport, but I'm not one to sit and whine and bick and moan about not having the support and not having the people, I'm more of a guy that's going to go out and try to find a way to get something done, support the kids that are involved with me, and also all of the programs that are around us, try to engulf all of those programs and keep things going so all of those people can continue to wrestle too. We've been doing for, I think it's 25, 26 years now, the Lane County Invitational, and it was developed from Jed Kesey, who was my wife's cousin, and Lorenzo West, who were both wrestling at the University of Oregon, and they got killed in a van accident back in 1984. And we started that tournament that year in their name, and it's kind of started this whole camaraderie and brotherhood of wrestling, having the opportunity to get together with all your coaching friends, have the kids all get together, and that's been a wonderful thing for our community and our program, because it really helps bond everybody together and help people moving in a direction to support each other. Now, obviously, when you shake hands at the beginning and the whistle blows, you know, it's all out, just knock down, drag out. And at the end, another time, you shake hands and you come off the mat, you go talk to the boy, you talk to the coach, and you learn from things that they did, and you're able to share those endeavors and all those experiences. So that's the cool thing about wrestling. I don't see it in football, I don't see it so much, I see it in track and field, I don't see it in baseball, I don't see those other team sports, basketball. Those people are more into doing things and holding it more in. Well, a wrestling coach or a wrestler, you know, if they beat you with something, you can go over and talk to them and say, what did you do to me? And they can show you, they'll teach you, and the next time, maybe it might turn out differently, but at the same time, they're going to help you, people are going to share things, and that's a cool thing about wrestling. Unfortunately, right now, the University of Oregon is suffering from a situation where administratively, they don't quite see the importance of all of these things that I've been talking about. We in the wrestling community know what wrestling does for not only the young people, but for communities and parents and grandparents and sisters and anybody else who comes to wrestling matches. You know, we had close to 1,000 people here today. 34 teams showed up, and we've been wrestling since 9 o'clock this morning. Kids have traveled from far away as Portland, Barlow, South Medford, North Medford, Klamath Union, from the coast, from the east. They've come from all around to gather in a spot and let people have that camaraderie and grow together and learn. The unfortunate thing is right now for the University of Oregon, they're facing that fact that they're going to drop their program. And I'm from the belief that rather than drop anything, let's find a way to add things and keep what we have and get better at those things that we continuously do. The University of Oregon boasts how it's so innovative and so creative, but yet they can't find a way to keep a program that is a 5,000-year-old sport and so important, not to those 9 kids that receive those scholarships, but it's important to the backbone of our American culture because of the hard work ethic that goes in with those communities and those kids and the coaches, and that is the backbone of our American culture. It's not about how many people come to watch wrestling. It's not about any of that kind of stuff. It's about what it does for the people that are involved with it. Now, as an administrator, do I need to make budgets? Yes, I need to make budgets. But when people are giving me money to build arenas and to do other things, it has nothing to do with cheerleading and baseball. I say add everything put everything in, keep everything, and make sure that we are letting these kids fulfill their dreams that they've had for many, many years, and they're able to reach to the top that they want to get to. So it's not about cutting things, and it's not about adding things. It's about keeping and creating the opportunity to be who we are. And that's the unfortunate thing. Right now, the University of Oregon administration doesn't realize that. And I hope that they will gain that knowledge by seeing what everybody around the state, around the nation, gets out of this wonderful sport of wrestling.